Hello, Bay Ridge. Welcome to another edition of After Hours. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about missions at BRCC. We had the privilege of having Oliver Asher of Advancing Native Missions here to share a little bit about them and their work. And we also regularly pray for missionaries. But if you are newer to Bay Ridge, you may not be aware of kind of how we are working to be on mission at BRCC. So I wanted to just take a minute to kind of go over the basic understanding of how we are engaged and involved in God's local and worldwide mission here at Bay Ridge Christian Church. We are working both individually and together, locally and internationally, to try and reach out with the gospel. And so you can understand that. You can see it visually when you just come into our building. The first thing most people notice is our big map of the world that shows where we are supporting mission work around the world. But people also tend to notice the beautiful mural over on the right-hand side, and that's of the docks in Annapolis. And that's because we are on mission both locally and around the world. So our very lobby is meant to proclaim kind of our philosophy of what we're doing. So how is it that we're doing that? Well, first off, we are supporting mission both locally and internationally with our finances. We give financial support. 14.5% of all undesignated money that comes into our church goes out to missions work, whether that's something local like ministry at the jail or the Navigators, the local ministry estuary, or something around the globe like underground church planting in certain Mideastern countries that we can't even mention, rescuing girls from the sex slave trade, working through Advancing Native Missions with 4 different groups through them. There's a whole variety of ways that we're engaged and involved in missions around the world, and we give money to those various things. Now, as I said, that's 14.5% of anything that's not specified. If you give specifically to say, I want to give to help pay for the building at Bay Ridge, or if you're giving specifically to help with a particular ministry, then that's not included. But most of the money that comes in is undesignated, is a technical term, and 14.5% of that goes to missions. When I first became pastor, I requested that we would give at least 10%, but it's grown from that to 12, and then 13, and then 14, and it's at 14.5% right now of everything that comes in. Plus, like on Sunday when we have a missionary, and at other times we take up a love offering. And when we take up a love offering, 100% of that goes out to that missions group, whether it's something that's, again, more local or in the States, or most of our missions work is actually overseas. And so 100% of that goes. And then sometimes there are people who just give directly to want to give to something to missions, and 100% of that will go out. So most years it ends up being between 16 and 17% of the money that comes in that's not designated ends up going out to missions. This is helping us reach the world, again, from Annapolis to the ends of the earth. Secondly, we regularly are praying for God's worldwide mission. We take time during our meeting, oftentimes, a couple times a month, sometimes 3 times in a month, where we take time to set aside to talk about a missionary. This month, we're focusing on the Boblet family that's ministering there in Berlin and in Germany, trying to reach out to them. But each month, we're praying for different groups to again be focused, so that we're not just giving money, but we are actually engaged in prayer. God opens doors for the gospel by prayer. And we encourage everyone in the church to be praying for that missionary of the month. So I encourage you every day this month to take time just briefly to pray for Luke and Amanda Boblet, for their ministry in Berlin, for God's global work, for what's going on there in Germany. And you can always see, we put the links for our current missionary of the month in the bridge that comes out. It's usually in our booklet. And you can go to the website to learn more about that particular ministry and missionary. And then we also have short-term trips, so that I'm not only giving financially, I'm not only praying, you can be personally involved. There are both short-term mission trips we take that are overseas, and being involved locally. We have works that are not even ministries that we necessarily support on a monthly basis, but we do work down at the Lighthouse Shelter. Every month we have meals that we are making. You can be engaged in doing that. We have winter relief that comes up each year, plus other opportunities even at the county fair. Different ways that you can serve and be involved. And then we're going to have a short-term missions trip coming up going to the Dominican Republic. We've got more than a dozen people that are going down there to do work in the Dominican Republic with a group that we've established relationship with through the Alvarez family, and heading down there to do it. I'm actually going to be going on a short-term trip later on this year to Togo to help establish a training center to train pastors there in the African country of Togo. So you can be personally involved in missions. And again, in all of these, we are engaging both locally and internationally. Again, notice that lobby. When you walk in, just pay attention this Sunday. You're going to see that map of the world because we're on mission. We are blessed to be a blessing around the world. But also notice that mural and think about it. It's right here in Annapolis. This is where we're planted. We are blessed to be a blessing in our local community. So we have local missions that you can be involved with. The jail ministry, Lighthouse Shelter, the Navigators. You could work with Estuary, another local conglomeration of ministries that we work with, so that you can be personally engaged. But there's also these international missions. Now, some of them we can't really go to because we are heavily invested in what's known as the 1040 window. That's the area between the 10th parallel and the 40th parallel. If you kind of think about it, it really runs across North Africa through much of the Muslim countries, across into India and China. It covers kind of even part of Indonesia. This is among the most unreached places in the world with the gospel. We are heavily invested. Some of them even being things that are going on that we can't even talk about and open, but we are engaged in supporting those missionaries. You and I might not be able to go, but we can support financially and we can support through prayer. Other ones we could actually be involved with, such as doing the work down in the Dominican Republic this summer. And there's stuff that is going on with church planning, supporting the persecuted church, rescuing the girls out of the sex slave trade, medical missions work, reaching out in post-Christian Europe. There's a whole variety, not only locally and internationally, but a variety of the types of ministries that are going on. So maybe one of them is something that God is really stirring up in your heart, and you can give, especially to say, I want to give extra money. I want to spend extra time in prayer. And for some of them, maybe I can even get involved personally. But even if I can't, I'm going to engage in prayer and labor. I want to encourage every one of us to find a way, in an ongoing way, to be involved locally and internationally. As I mentioned on Sunday, there's only three types of Christians when it comes to the Great Commission. There are radical goers, radical senders, and those who are radically disobedient. There is no place for just sitting on the bench. We are blessed to be a blessing. And that includes locally and internationally. It includes financially, prayer, and personal involvement. So be asking God to direct you by His Holy Spirit how you can be involved and engaged in the worldwide mission. What a privilege we have that we have been blessed with the gospel and we can take it forth to be a blessing to others. I hope you have a great week, and I look forward to us gathering again this Sunday. Remember, we're having a special time at the coffee bar. You can come early at 8:50. Bring a friend, come as a family, come hang out, spend time in fellowship with your brothers and sisters before we gather to worship our great God and continue our study in 1 Thessalonians. Have a great week. God bless.